back position. Definitely the most deadliest position we have in Jiu-Jitsu. But before we go and start to set it up, let's examine what we want to finish in. So my partner's going to be nice for me and sit up. I'm going to get both hooks in. Okay, not crossing the feet, just separate. Okay, I'm going to bring my arms over the top like a seatbelt on the car. I'm going to cover my hand with my bottom hand, and I'm going to make sure that my fingers are hidden as well. In a panic, a lot of people are just going to grab for something. It might be the fingers, okay, and then it's going to try and keep it away from them. I would do the same. So I'm going to try and close my fist. Okay, hand over the top of the hand, not over the wrist. Again, the same thing's going to happen. He's going to grab a hold of that, and I'm not going to be able to get my finish. And then hug nice and tight. Okay, and make sure that my chest is glued to the center of his back. Okay, any discrepancies, if I'm slightly off and we begin my attack, okay, it's not going to prevent me from turning. Now I've lost my position and I need to work. So we need to keep that tightness throughout. Okay, like I'm glued to him. So I pin nice and tight. Now wherever he goes, I'm going to follow him. Okay, Marcelo calls this human backpack. Okay, so when we get on there, I'm the backpack. Okay, I'm not going anywhere. Rarely will you find yourself in a position like this though. Okay, so the guy's probably not going to be sitting up, although it might happen, you never know in Jiu-Jitsu. So most of the time you're going to find yourself to one side. Okay, ideally, if it was up to me, we would fall to this side. Okay, because that makes it hard for him. If I get my choking hand in, even if he starts turning his back to the floor, it's going to make it very, very hard for him to escape. The way he wants to escape, okay, the way he's taught to escape when we do the classes, is he goes to the armpit side. As he goes to the armpit side, as he brings his head beneath mine and starts turning, yeah, and then he starts working his way out. So if I had a choice in that, I would go to the choking hand side. Okay, but it doesn't mean that we can't remedy the situation. So keeping nice and tight, hiding your hand, squeezing. If we go to this side, all I do is make sure that my head is tight enough so he can't get his head to the floor, making his turn to his back much harder. Okay, with my hooks, they're not just idle. What I've got to do is curl, hamstring curl. Okay, really bring my calves against his thighs to keep this position nice and tight. It's got to be uncomfortable for him. Okay, I want to make it easier for him to give up that neck. Okay, so hooks in, curl him into his thighs, get that seatbelt, get that central body positioning to his back, glue yourself to him, hug nice and tight. Okay, now wherever he goes, you go. So we know our finishing position. Now, okay, we're going to start learning how to start the finish. Not secure the finish, just start it. So when you're taught about chokes, it's very easy to just concentrate on one arm doing the work. Okay, but that's not, he's not going to let that happen. So he knows which, even though I'm covering the hand, he knows which hand is going to try and choke him. Okay, exactly. So he's going to be pinning that one. And if I just try for it with one hand without dealing with the rest of his body, okay, I'm going to have a really hard time finishing. I might keep the positioning, okay, but I'm going to have a hard time actually finishing the fight. So what I need to do is start using my hands to help myself out. It can be as simple as just pulling the lapel on this side and passing it up. Okay, that solves so much problems and cuts the time in half. So I can open out and go up, okay? But his hands are in the way as well. So what I've got to think about is just blocking a hand and going for the neck. Okay, I can use my feet against him as well. So maybe I can move to the side, start hooking his arm, and then I can start finishing. Okay, so when you get the position, try not to just think about this one. Try not to leave this one idle. This one has a job too, as do your feet. They don't necessarily need to stay in this position. As long as you maintain control, you can start pinning, hooking, you can start pushing down, reaching up. It can be as simple as just opening and going up here. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to start doing what I will call the rope climb method to finish. So we just turn slightly. So we fall to the side that I want, okay, that choking arm side is right underneath. And what I'm going to do to secure my seatbelt even more is I'm just going to reach nice and low on his lapel. Okay, then I'm going to keep it nice and tight, and that's going to make his defense even harder. He knows which arm is going to attack him. It's not like this one's hidden and he's just thinking about this one and I can just attack his neck. He knows which one is going to attack him, that one on the top. Okay, so what I do is I just nice and gradually just start edging my hand up. Okay, like I'm climbing a rope. Even if he starts defending on this side and he's got a hold of it, I've got a hold there and I just edge up during the match. Okay, it doesn't have to be fast, I don't have to immediately go up there, I can just edge up. Okay, remember, when you're on the back, it's not as easy as just going to it, even though I'm hiding my hand. There is going to be some hand fighting going on. He's going to defend. So, I'm just going to take it nice and slow, start edging my hand up, and still can start the finish. Okay? So, my partner conveniently sitting down, probably not going to happen that frequently when you're actually rolling or competing. So we're going to learn to take the back. Most of the time, taking the back is going to come from this position. Whether it be drag an arm across, come up from guard, maybe be forcing the toe. So for example, Mick could be on his back and I go for the pass, he doesn't want me to pass, and he tails up, we go from here. This is probably where it's going to happen, creating this position. We're going to go for a nice, simple one first. Maybe he's not as tight as we want him to be. Okay, so I get my seatbelt in, just like we did before. One underneath the armpit, covering that one on top. Okay, I can turn my hips and slip my hook heel first all the way through. I'm going to push it through to that far leg. That's it. And just turn my toes down so I'm hooking and controlling the leg. From there, I'm going to fall to the side. Now the tightness I've created on his back, okay, means as I go down, his upper body is probably going to come down with me. Okay, so I keep it nice and tight. As I move down here, his upper body comes with me. If his hip is still up, that's no problem. I'm just going to create a gap, pull him in, then put the other hook in. And then we go back to our first positioning where we create that tension with our hooks by curling. We keep the tightness here and we hide, okay, our top hand. So we've managed to make him tell. This happens all the time. Maybe I stuff a takedown, go around to the back. Maybe during the guard pass he rolls. Maybe I drag his arm across from a guard and come up. Okay, but our guy isn't as tight as he wants to be. Maybe he's not very experienced. So we go for that seatbelt straight away and we get our covering position. Make sure chest to back. Okay, keep the head tightness as well. So you want to stay in nice and tight. I'm going to get that far side hook, near side hook first. Heel in. As I drag it through, that's when I'm dropping to my hip. So I go here. Create a gap, so I move myself away, pull his hips into the gap, and then I bring my leg over the top, pushing heel down, and create that tension we had before. Okay, so keeping nice and tight on top, and then curling my heels in towards his thighs. So, seatbelt, near side hook first. Push my foot all the way through, pull him towards me. If I haven't got it exactly right, maybe his hips over the top, so it's going to make it harder for me to bring my hook in. That's not a problem. I'm just going to put my foot to the floor, push my hips out, pull him into the gap that I've created, then bring my leg over the top and push my heel down. And when I get in there, remember, everything's being used at the same time, so I'm constantly tensing my heels, pulling them nice and tight, keeping them really controlled. So now, a more advanced version. So timing is key on this one. I've got to time it as he's moving away. If it doesn't work out, no problem, we can go to our first version, but we should be able to get it if we get the timing just right. So we've come round to the side, but I haven't established head control yet. Okay, allowing my partner to start turning himself away, which he wants to do. It's a good idea. Okay, I haven't got head control, but I'm just covering this hip. Now as my partner starts to move away, my hand is going to move just to around belly button level. I'm going to use my elbow against his hip to slow him down. It's not going to stop him. All I want to do is slow him down. As my hand comes to his belly button, my knee, okay, the inside of my knee, this part here, is just going to cover his hip. My other hand is going to base by his head. Remember, we haven't got that head control. If we have, he's not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm here. As he starts to roll away, I cover, I base. As he starts to move up onto his knees, okay, I'm riding him, like surfing him. Okay, I can bring my hook on the inside, fall down, my hand that was basing by the head, look, easily slips around. I cover my hands and I get my hook in. So I wanted to control the head. I've come around to the side of the pass. Okay, my hand comes down as he moves away, just to the belly button, cover, and cover here. Base by the head. That's going to take your weight and allow you to switch your hips to get your knee in. Okay, so as he starts coming up, we surf him. I step my hook in, seat belt, and get that hook in. Okay, my hand positioning allows me to get my seat belt as soon as I drop to my shoulder. From here, surf him, up, full, get that positioning. Chest in the center of his back, seat belt covering the top hand, no fingers exposed. Okay, other hook in, hook tension, okay, tighten for the head. Okay guys, so it's not as easy as just getting my hooks in, especially when the guy knows what's happening. If he stays super tight up here, I have a really hard time just sort of swinging my heel in. I can sort of smash it through as much as I can, but if he's super tight, he's just going to block it. He knows which hook I want to get first as well. So instead of going that way, okay, we're going to go with our other leg first. So I'm going to cover the hips like we did before. Okay, I'm going to keep my weight on him, so no knees on the floor. By keeping my weight on his hips, okay, he's going to have a hard time rolling all the way over. Okay, I'm going to move my hands around. I'm going to grab a hold of his lapel on this side. Now, a lot of the times we're taught not to overcommit on this hand, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to put it back against his hips. I'm going to keep my weight, okay, on his hips by taking my knees off the floor. This is going to make it hard for him to just bridge and roll me over the top. This knee here, my far side knee, is going to go through this gap, and you can be as rough or as nice with it as you like, okay, depending on how much the guy's resisting. I base on the floor with my hand next to his head, okay, and I'm just going to shove this one right through the middle. So I go here, okay. Now, as I do that, that's not taking his weight off his heels, so I can jab my knee through as much as I like, but his weight's on his heels, so it's going to be hard for me to start manipulating it. So this grip here is going to bring him over on that side. So I've got hold of it here, I've got my weight on him, I put my hand on the floor and I put him towards me here. My knees through the middle, and I'm turning my toes up and pushing with my shin against his knee. The far leg is going to step over, I'm going to drag it up until it gets to my knee. Now as soon as it's there, look, he's turned his hips already because it's torquing his knee. He has to, otherwise it'll hurt. So as soon as we're there, I'm going to start falling down to the side, getting my seatbelt position. But here's the key. I'm going to scissor my leg. So I'm going to torque his knee a little bit more as we go down. Okay, and I'm going to kick that bottom leg, this one here, through and to the hook. So I fall, I get my seat belt, I kick this one through and to the hook. And then, once again, over the top, push down with the heel, hook tension, straight on his back, head to head. So we're on the side here. Knee goes through, step over the inside leg, drag it up to the neck. As I fall down, I pull this grip with me to bring him towards me. His lower body is already going to come towards me because of what I'm doing to his knee. My hand that's facing is going to go straight across his neck for the seatbelt. And I bring my bottom hook through and over. If I find that I'm too long, no problem, I put my foot to the floor, I move myself out. I bring my leg over the top, push heels down. Straight on the back, nice and tight, head to head, hook tension throughout. So we're here, lots of weight on his hips so he can't turn. Knee goes through the gap, base on the floor. Heel across, straight up to the knee. As we fall down, I go for that seat belt. Simultaneously, I'm scissoring my legs. So I fall, I scissor, bring my leg into the hook. Other leg over the top, push through, hook tension, chest to back, head to head. Same entry as before, however he's going to provide a bit more resistance. So knee goes in, base on the floor, put him towards you, that grip. I'm going to step over his foot. Now as I step over his foot, he's going to start turning towards me to get that half guard. I end up on the top, trying to pass it instead. So I need to leap over the top and have my knee meet the floor before he does. Okay? Because of that grip I've got on the hips, it's not going to be like an easy turn for him. So I need to be able to get my knee to the floor before he gets his body to the floor. It's not going to be an easy turn for him because of this grip I've got. That's going to slow him down, but again, it's not going to stop him. Okay, he's still going to get there if I'm just hanging around doing nothing. So I base on the floor, put my foot through. As I step over and he starts to turn, I need to get my knee to the floor before him. As I bring him over, my hook's already in. I take him over to the side and get my hook in. Okay, same tightness again on the chest, to the back, head to head, hook tension. Pin against the hips, no knees on the floor, guys. That's why we can keep a weight on it. If my knee's on the floor, it means my weight's going through that knee. Base, knees straight through. As I step over, he begins his turn, so I can slow him. Now I need to get my knee over the top of him before he gets his body to the floor. So I push, I move, I get my hook in. I'm bringing him right over the top of me. So one more time, knee goes through, base on the floor. I want to step over, but he starts turning. So this knee here to the floor. So I push off my legs. Push, bring him over the top of me. I've already got my seatbelt. Hook goes in, other hook goes in. Hook tension. Nice and tight, chest to back, head to head. Many times when you're taking the back, you'll find yourself with one hook in and one hook out. Okay, it's not easy to get the other hook in because, again, my partner is aware of what we do. So I've got my seatbelt, we've gone to the side, I've got that bomb hook in, which is what I wanted, but yeah, you'll find yourself here. So Mick will be looking to prevent this hook from coming in, maybe get rid of my bottom hook, maybe turn on the leg, that's it, and then look, we're in a scramble that I may or may not win. So as soon as we're in this position, I'm going to cross my feet, okay, with my leg over his hip. Okay, it's perfectly fine to cross your feet here. You're not going to get foot locked like you would if both are in. Okay, just because it's not possible. Okay, so I keep my knees pinned to keep it tight over his hip. As soon as I'm there, keeping my tightness, I'm going to pelvic thrust into his back to stretch him out. Okay, so we're here, I pelvic thrust into the back to stretch him out, bringing his leg further away from his gut. And then I can swing my foot in, heel down first, like we did before, and create that hook tension. So, we got our seatbelt, we got our bottom hook in. I've got the tension on the bottom, but I can't get this one in here. What I don't want to see is people just trying to weasel their foot in. A lot of times you see the guys that like start circling their foot like heel toe. Don't worry about that. Cross your feet over, create that tension by squeezing your knees in. Stretch them out. Now my heel goes straight in. Seatbelt, I can't get that hook in. I'm not going to just try and get it in because it's too high for me. So over the hip. The reason we do it over the hip is so I can create that tension with the back. If I do it lower, I'm not going to have the same effect. So I go over the hip, squeeze my knees in together, stretch them out, and I bring my heel straight in. Push down, create that tension that we had before. So the more you train Jiu-Jitsu, the more you'll find yourself in this position, and the more you'll find yourself struggling to maintain this position, okay? So everyone's taught the basic way of escaping, and it's very effective when falling to my awkward side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to deal with that, and we're going to reclaim the positioning. So I get my seatbelt, like we did before. My partner moves down to my awkward side, his side is advantage, and he gets rid of that bottom hook. Yeah, he's going to step over it, he's going to start turning his hips. Eventually he's going to get his back to the floor. I'm going to realise that I've lost the position and I'm going to have to start moving. Okay, by that time, I'm already in his guard. Perhaps that's what he wanted. He can start sweeping me. Basically, I'll have to engage in his guard to pass, and I don't want to do that. So we move to the side. He starts escaping. So as soon as we're here, I'm starting to realise I've lost the positioning. So I need to start remedying the situation. If he's hooking this foot, that's okay, we're just going to keep our foot in. But sometimes the guy will do is he'll get rid of it and they won't have much of a hook here. So what I do, if it's over the top, I'm just going to extend my leg and turn my toes up to keep a hold of his leg. That one on the bottom is coming out anyway. I can either wait for him to bring his butt across it, or I can engage it myself. I push my foot out and get my toes on the floor. I'm going to use my shoulder, my head, and my toes to push myself up until my bum reaches the ceiling. So I push myself up. As I'm doing that, it's going to create a lot of tension on him. I'm going to really push him over that side. So I come up, head on the floor, and pushing in towards him. He doesn't want to turn over. If he turns over, I get my hooks in with him flat out, face down on the floor. That's the worst. So he's going to keep in this position here. I've got a lot of tension on him. I bring my far knee up tight and bring him back over the top of me, keeping that tension that we had before with our seatbelt, over the top, and hook in. So I get my seatbelt, we go down, he gets rid of my hook. Now I realise I'm losing the position. Okay, he's hooking it because he probably wants to go for his half guard, that's cool. So I keep it in, I move my foot out, get my foot on the floor, turn my bum up towards the ceiling, keep that pressure. My upper body's really turning his upper body against his lower body. So I really push in, I base out on my head and my leg. Then I bring up my knee up as high as I can, bring it over the top, and go up again. So we fall down, he gets rid of that hook, I keep my foot in, I really try and keep my foot in. I move my bottom foot out, I come up, now look, I'm basing on my forehead and my toes. Now I bring this one up high, bring them over the top of my shin, use my seatbelt, over to the other side, and get my hook in. A lot of the times, when you're taking the back, or when you're on the back and the guy begins to escape, you're going to have to bail on the position. So rather than engaging in a guard or allowing him to come up, we're going to take an arguably equally as good positioning rather than just continuing to scramble. So we start the escape. So we get here, but my partner has been a little bit lax on that hook. So as soon as I find myself losing the positioning, as he gets his back to the floor, I'm going to switch my heel from here to here, and I'm going to really squeeze tight as possible. I'm not going to keep a gap where he can start using his hands maybe against it to push it in. I'm going to keep my heel pinned and then turn my knee in towards his body so there's nothing for him to work with. Okay, as soon as he starts moving out, okay, I'm going to kick my bottom leg out, extend my body away so my arms aren't trapped underneath him anymore, and start basing and bring my knees down to the floor. As soon as I'm there, I put my feet underneath his bum and I stay tense from toe to knee whilst keeping my hips relaxed. The reason we keep our hips relaxed is when my partner starts spazzing out, we can start moving. If it's tense and I'm like this and it's stuck, okay, I just roll off, okay, and that's what he wants. So, he starts beginning his escape, okay, he's able to get his head below mine, he starts turning his back to the floor, he's got rid of that bottom hook, so I move my top hook from between his legs to his hip. And when I go there, I squeeze him quite hard. I turn my knee towards him, so there's no gaps. If there's a gap here, that's something he can bring his leg through, bring his arm through. I could be in some trouble, okay? So I keep in nice and tight. I can let go of my seatbelt. I can drag my arm out by extending my body. Keeping that tension. Face on the floor, get your knee down to the floor. Fold your feet underneath his bum. Tense from toe to knee, but relaxed in the hips. So I'm really pushing down. If he tries his escape from here, and my toes are nice and tense, it's not going to happen. Okay, but my hips are relaxed, so if he decides to start bridging, I'm going to start moving rather than just falling off. Now let's begin our finishes. So we're going to start from the back, okay, with our ideal seatbelt positioning. So my chest is nice and tight, my head's tight, my hooks have constant tension, so his legs aren't going anywhere and he can't kick them out. We're going to go to the side of my advantage with my choking hand on the bottom. So remember that rope climbing technique that we did in the beginning? I'm just going to secure that first. Okay, so if he's here and his hands are still fine, that's no problem. We can start edging up. Okay, so as soon as it's in line with his collarbone, I'm not going to be able to get the choke here just yet. Okay, I need to start moving my body. I'm going to switch my hand to the far side lapel, thumb on the inside, fingers on the outside. If I just start extending here, there's too much of a gap for me to get the positioning. Yeah, Mick could bring his head underneath and I've lost the positioning, I have to change. So rather than doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my elbow underneath me, okay, as I'm coming up. So I go here. As soon as I'm there, I'm going to start the choke. So I start pulling and pushing to get the finish. So over here, I go down to the side and I get my thumb on the choking hand on the inside of his lapel. Not up high, down low, just so he doesn't consider it a threat. There is going to be some hand fighting going on, so I use my hand to start just climbing that rope all the way up to the top. Go for the far side. Now I bring my elbow underneath me as I'm trying to get up. Okay, I can already feel the tension there as it is. Now all I need to do is extend slightly to get the finish. Seatbelt to the side, start edging your way up. Thumb on the outside, up to the elbow, and the tension's already on. So now all I need to do is just slightly put on the other side, and we're done. The technique begins the same. So I've got that rope climb down here. I edge my way up. But as I get to here, my partner's got quite a good grip on my sleeve. Okay, so even if I do come up to my elbow, I'm not going to get that finish positioning that I want. So I'm going to either unhook, okay, and give him the bait to step out, okay, or okay, if he's not taking the bait, I need to give him a bit of encouragement. So I take my top hook out and turn it into a butterfly hook. Then what I do is I start kicking him over the top to take my leg out. Now rather than letting him come all the way to the top, I get my feet underneath me in this position here. Okay, I've still got that horrible collar grip. Even if he does have his hand still on it, it's not going to make too much of a difference. And then what I do is I'm going to come up to my knees, get my knee behind his head, and I can start falling this way and extending. So I begin my rope climb. I've got the other side. I want to go for this one here, but even if I come up to my elbow, it's not happening. So what I do is I take my bottom hook out and I give him some bait. If he goes over the top of it, fantastic. If he doesn't, no problem. Okay, I'm going to take my foot out, I'm going to swing my hook on the other side to a butterfly hook, and I kick, but I'm not looking to get up onto his knees. As I kick, I scoop my foot underneath. Okay, I bring my knees underneath me, and I keep him on his side. I bring my knee that's closest to his hips up. Okay, then I bring my other knee right by his head. Now, even if he stays a hold of my sleeve from here, it's not going to make too much difference. As I sit back, I really start cranking it, and we're done. Begin our rope climb. Go for the other side. Take the hook out. If he starts taking the bait, great. If he doesn't, I'm just going to scoop it underneath, scissor my legs, come up to my knees, knee against his hip, knee against the back of his neck, sit and extend. Same entry. We've got our rope climb up to the neck, to the other side. Okay, maybe my partner begins to escape. Maybe I just give him a bit of encouragement to come up on top. So I bring my leg out, I can scissor this on underneath. I can either hook to kick him over, or I can give him a bit of a knee up the bum. But either way, I'm going to look to really, really push him over, encouraging him to go onto his knees. So as I go up, I come up too. As soon as I'm there, my head's on the floor, I'm going to turn my legs out, then I'm going to lean on him and continue
dragging the leg, the arm up against his neck for the clock choke.
Seat belt, rope climb to the other side, thumb on the inside. I can either give him the bait, okay, or I can bring the leg out and drag it back. Now, let's just get a detail on that before we start. So I take my leg out, and if I've got this one underneath to give a bit of encouragement, I'm going to scissor my leg. So I kick and scissor. So this one now can start pushing off the floor. As he comes up to the turtle position, I've already got my hooks in, my head's facing the floor. I'm going to switch my supporting hand to his far hand. Step out. As I bring my head up, the chuck goes on, and I walk around in a circle. Build it up, get your grips. Swing your foot out, give a bit of encouragement, up, and start walking.